Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Hey everyone, welcome back to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Mac.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Pepper.
And today we are going to kind of go through, rank, maybe talk a little bit about the games we played at the World Series of Board Game event in the open gaming area. So
Yes, from the Dice Tower West Library.
Yes.
One of the games we checked out. We're just going to kind of go through them in order. And possibly give the rankings.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I played 14 of these games.
I played 11 of these.
I played 12.
Shocking that Michaela has the most. I know. Everyone, hold on to your seats. So we'll just go through then. And so the first one that we learned, and so I think we all learned all of these and played at least. These are all played one time. I think only a couple games were played more than one. So first one that we learned was Merchant's Cove.
And to note, I don't think we're going to talk about them, but we did play some other games. These are ones that we played for the first time that we're talking about. So we did also play at one point Metro X, played Terraforming Mars.
And you can check out our recap of that event video
check out our
if you
other
want to
video.
hear all the games we played.
Yes.
There we
we'll
go.
talk about that there.
There we go. All right, so first one we learned was Merchant's Cove.
So yes, so out of
We all played this one.
Yes, we did. Out of my 12 games, and like you said, we've only played these once, so obviously these aren't official rankings or anything like that. But the feelings after it, I ranked it 9th out of 12. I wasn't sure how I felt about it, but this is one where each kind of faction plays differently. So I would think this one would actually require several plays to really know it. So that's probably why it's so low for me. It was just kind of one game, and it seemed like a bit to learn, even though I think once we learned it, it wasn't too difficult. But yeah, just the learning process seemed to take quite a while. But this is also the first one, and we were kind of getting into our own there. We'd never been to an event or convention before, so But at the same time, I would definitely, if I had the chance to play this one more, I would definitely try out the other characters or even that same character again to try to do some better things. Because I think kind of by the end of the game, I felt like, oh, I should have been doing this way differently. So I think that was probably part of it. Why after one play it's that low, but I think it would probably be higher if I played all of these games like 5 times each. I think this one would probably be up a little higher for me.
I ranked it a 7. I just did not do some of the rules correctly, and I realized it way too late in the game. So that's just my own fault. I do think it has potential to be a pretty good game. Once you play it a couple more times, get some of those things more solidified. And I think it's neat the way kind of the way the selling works with the boats, and so a little bit of emotep in there, a little bit of I don't even know what else in there, but I think it's unique. It's kind of a different spin on some, would you call it a Euro game?
Maybe.
It's kind of more of a medium weight game. I don't know. So yeah, I'd say it's a little bit of a different spin on games we normally play. So
Yeah, I have this at 4th. Actually.
Wow.
And I think that does have to do with I got like the kind of blacksmith character type thing, and I think that one's a lot more satisfying for a first game, which is a little simpler, feels a little more rewarding and easier to grasp. So I did end up winning, and I got by a little bit, I would say. But yeah, I really enjoyed that character, and I didn't really follow along with what your characters did, but from what I did see, they just felt completely different with what they did, and that's just very intriguing to me to explore that. And as well, I just really like the scoring and getting as many of a certain color at that dock so that your goods will be even more valuable. Love that.
Yeah, that part is really cool. And that's why I think this one would definitely, after more plays, I think it would probably be higher for me. Just because being able to maybe see those characters, like you said, I didn't feel like I was looking at either of your characters to really know what they were doing. But I also don't know that this is like so difficult of a game that you wouldn't be able to do that once you kind of know what's going on. So yeah, I'd definitely give this one more plays.
All right, so the next one we learned was, well, I guess we learned it, you learned it later on, but Azul Summer Pavilion. So one of the Azul games. Is this the third Azul game?
Azul.
Yep. So I put this. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I just figured you didn't have to have that phone in your hand the whole time if you didn't want.
Oh, well, that's how I'm remembering what order we played these in.
Oh, well, I thought you were looking at your rankings.
My rankings are here.
Okay.
I put Azul Summer Pavilion as number 2 out of my 14. So, a little bit of a spoiler. We brought that one home.
Took it from the library.
No, we did not steal. Tom, we did not steal. Tim, we didn't steal.
Tim or Tom.
We bought it from Shiba Games. Yeah. So I really like this game. Azul Stained Glasses Sintra was kind of meh for me lately, and that's the one we have in our collection. And so when we took out this one and played it, I was like, oh, this is so much better than the Sintra for me. So I was like, I like this one a lot. So my 2.
Yeah, I actually haven't played with the correct rules yet. When we were playing, we got the rules slightly wrong, but when you guys replayed it, I think you guys played it correctly, and it sounds like from the scoring...
Correctly in the second half. We had a third player that had joined us, and he pointed out that, oh, actually, I think we should have to do it this way instead for the scoring. So
But
we played half of a game correctly.
But yeah, even without that, kind of the bonus points that you could get, I really enjoyed it as well. This was my 2 out of 12 games, or number 2, so I really liked it quite a bit. I still like Sintra, I think more than you like it, but that one, like you said, I think it just doesn't get to the table as often, and I don't know, I feel like this one could be that way after so many plays too, but it does feel fresh enough, and I like the way this one worked quite a bit, because spoiler, we may have also tried the 4th Azul game, and my thoughts on that one were a little bit different. So I enjoyed this one quite a bit, because it does have a lot of the similar mechanisms, but the scoring in it and the way it works is a little bit different, but I like it quite a bit.
Yeah, I have this as my number 3. I guess, did you say your ranking?
2.
Oh, nice.
2 out of 12.
2 for both of us.
So yeah, it's my 3rd place, so almost a 3-way crossover there. But yeah, I really like how this one works. The scoring just seems more satisfying in this game than the other one. Like the other one, you get to put some tiles like down at the bottom of the columns. I don't know, that just never felt fun to me. This one, it just feels so satisfying every time you place them in there and score points. And also, I didn't know what I'd think of having, like, to place one in a 5 spot. You need 5 tiles worth of that color, or the wilds, which I really love the way the wilds work in this game. But
unless you're me and you get screwed at the end.
Yeah.
That was bad planning on my part.
But yeah, I was like, I'm not going to be able to place any tiles out there. It takes so much to even get one. Like, it's 5 tiles you need to put one out there. But it's still, I feel like you are able to get that out there, and you are able to do a lot. You're not going to fill your entire board.
No.
It's impossible, but once you understand that, I love it.
All right, so next up we played Paleo.
Was that really the 3rd game we played?
That's where I have it listed.
Wow. That felt like we played that way later.
No.
But I believe you, but it's just kind of surprising.
Yeah, me and you, because he was in...
I don't know where he was.
Yeah,
But
so...
Oh, yeah, that's right. We played Terraforming Mars between those two.
Yes.
That's why it felt
Yeah.
like there was a big gap.
Yeah.
But yes.
But we're just
So
doing ones
yes,
we learned.
we did play Paleo then,
Yes.
which is a cooperative game.
Yep.
Yes.
I'd heard quite a few good things about it from people that like to play cooperative games, but it's just never really been on my list 100%.
Yes.
But then we saw it there, and yeah, Pepper, you can lead us with
It
your
had been
thoughts.
one that I had been looking forward to trying for quite a while. Kind of made me think of Robinson Crusoe, which I'd also been interested in, but was like is known to be very, very difficult. So I'm like, this one seems like something similar, cooperative survival. And I also had heard a lot of great things about it from Dice Tower members. I think Mike or Z, or possibly both, really like it. So I suggested it. I thought it was a decently simple game as well, which I think it ended up being easy to grasp, but the setup with like all different sets of cards and modules, and they have different backs, and you shuffle them together, the different backed cards, but it just feels wrong. For the first time learning the game, it's like, what do I shuffle together here? What modules do I use? What cards go with what go on the boards? So it was quite a time trying to set it up. Quite a struggle.
I'm trying to think. Almost all of these, we had quite the struggle learning a lot of these.
Yeah.
And there were like teachers wanted signs. I think we used them on a I don't remember if this was one of those.
We
that
did try it.
We did put it up.
No one came.
We never got any help on any of them. But yeah, so you can keep going.
But yeah, so we did end up playing it, and let's see where I have this ranked.
I'm not convinced that he has them ranked.
I have this ranked 9th of 11.
Oh.
I will say I enjoyed all the games we played. So I did enjoy this one, but I think that setup, and obviously the pressure of this, you guys playing one of my games, and then the setup being horrendous, probably kind of brought it down a little bit. So I'm like, great. They take the time to play a game of mine that I want to play, and then it's not going so well. But once we started playing it, I did like the game quite a bit, and kind of the teamwork that you can have, and going and helping people with your cards to help them do their actions. I really, really love that, and kind of the cycling through the deck, trying to remember what's in there and what can come back out.
Yeah, and this one I think it's kind of a shame that we didn't, because I think it is simple enough that if someone had come up that knew how to play it, I think it would have been very easy for them to explain it, and it wouldn't have been nearly as tough as reading the rule book. The rule book seemed to almost make it more difficult than it had to be, and made it more confusing as to what you were doing. But yeah, I have it ranked 5 out of 12, so I liked it actually quite a bit. I liked how the cards all worked together, and just it felt like a really solid cooperative game. I liked it a lot, actually. So I'm probably the only one that has that highly thought of, but like you said, you liked them all.
Yeah.
Not you.
Yeah,
him.
he did.
You hated most of them. Azul, her top 2 are the only 2 she liked.
They're so mean to me. They're like, oh, play 14 games, and you hate every single one of them. Like, I never even said that. No wonder I don't play new games. Because you guys are just dying to hear what I think of it, apparently.
I am. Trying to see which ones we could possibly even get.
Wow. I put Paleo at number 12 out of 14. So
That's kind of ranked the same for you.
Yeah,
2 from
I was
the
going to say. I was like, what stats are you giving me? It's 2 from the top. So, I don't like cooperative games to begin with. So, like, kind of a tick there.
Oh boy. There's another one coming up.
And it just, the setup was nuts. And once we actually got into the gameplay of it, I just was not, like, wowed by anything with it. And I think the first couple of rounds we were like, how are we even supposed to be able to do some of this stuff? Like, it's not working. Because I think we had to get, like, a tent, or we had to get certain cards, and you had to pay a ton to get those mammoth drawings on the wall or whatever. And I was like,
but we did end up getting them.
We did eventually.
Somehow it didn't feel like we actually upgraded ourselves, but somehow we still were able to get those.
Exactly. It just felt like I have no idea how we did this, so I'm sure we did it wrong, but I just was like, meh. I don't know what that would be like with more players. Like, with 2 people that I'm comfortable playing with and know how to play with and, like, understand your thought process, that's one thing. But, like, you throw me at that table with people I don't know and ask me to, I'm like, that's an alpha game. Easy, where someone can just step up and say, this is what we need to do. And I would sit back and be like, sure, whatever you want to do, I don't care.
Yeah.
So.
That's a game group problem more than a game problem.
Well, cooperatives lend themselves to that, though.
Oh, yeah. So that's why I think it's more of the game group versus the game's issue. It's not like the game is saying pick one person and have them decide.
No, it's not. But in and of itself, as a cooperative game, you're going to have that.
Yep. Especially when it's like you can use your action to help me
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. I think the theme was neat. And the card draw thing interesting. But
Yeah.
otherwise, I just wasn't like, meh.
Interesting. Yeah, this is one of them that I want to go back to.
Me too.
So, but probably won't be.
If you have a
What's
friend
the
who
next
has
one?
the game, or the next one we played was
She's not gonna like my other one that's high either.
Shakespeare. Shakespeare.
Yes, Shakespeare.
Was there more to it, or is it just Shakespeare?
I don't remember. I think it
it's
was
just
just Shakespeare.
I wrote like abbreviated titles.
But yeah, this was one, finally, a Euro game, and pretty much the only like full-on Euro that we ended up playing. There were some other ones I wanted to play, but the way our rules were going for a lot of these games, it was just like, this is going to be another one that's going to, if we do more Euro games, like I think Gutenberg was one that I was possibly thinking, I'm like, the worst part is it's just going to probably take a long time to learn, and so we didn't really play many others, but this one we did, also because of the, I thought the theme could be fun, something that you might like a little bit more, maybe if it came through. I wasn't sure if it would, but I also saw it was rated pretty highly. And this one we actually played with Jeff.
Yep, Jeff from Colorado. If
I'm
you're
terrible.
watching, say hi in the comments.
I'm terrible with names.
That's why he has me.
Right. And he said it was one of his favorite games, so then we were like, oh, okay.
And he showed us why. He won.
Right, smacked us around a little bit. But yeah, a lot of people seem to like, and I think I saw it played later.
people.
Yeah.
Which is
Like
crazy
an hour
because
later
it's
we
not
saw
a
it.
new game at all. It's like 4 or 5 years old, and I don't hear that many people talk about it, so it's kind of surprising to
never
me
heard of
that
it.
it was I saw other people playing it and people talking about how good it was. So I was like,
Yeah, Jeff came up to us and said it was one of his favorites, and like 3 other people also came up and said, "Oh, that's a good game."
Right.
That game. I'm like, this random game from 5 years ago.
I think we got the most compliments on that one.
right, yeah, and it's not even like it's got like a huge table presence that like makes it like well known that that's Shakespeare or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got it to the table. We played it. This one I've got at 6 out of 12. I did like it quite a bit, and this would be one that I'd be willing to add to the collection. But at the same time, it almost felt like it was one of those that sometimes in Euro games you feel like you can do almost too much. Like it almost didn't feel tight enough. But I'm also not sure if that's just the way it ended up being in this specific game. Because it felt like I was able to do almost everything that I wanted. So I think that's why it was a little bit lower for me. I still really liked what all this stuff was, how that worked, and how you were putting your people in costumes, and how you had to get the theater symmetrical, kind of scoring for those. I thought that was really clever and how that worked. And then, it was just bidding how many actions you wanted to take. So then if you had less actions, you'd get to go first. But then if you had more, you could kind of continue to do stuff. But then kind of towards the end, like it seemed like people had such powerful things that if you didn't go first, you could probably miss out on something you wanted to do. Just some interesting things.
Yeah, that was interesting. I love the kind of amount of actions, kind of deciding what you want to do. If you go first,
Jesse, 5 every time.
I was going like 5 pretty much every time.
I did that too. And maybe that's why it felt like I got to do everything. I don't know. Maybe you felt differently. I know you didn't bid 5 as much.
Like 3s and 4s.
Yeah,
Quite a bit
and I
that
think
whole
we
time.
all scored.
And we were like all 3 of us within 1 point.
Yeah.
Jeff was way ahead, like quite a few points ahead of us, but I was like, so she took like way fewer actions, probably. I mean,
I must have optimized a lot more.
but same score.
Did you take like 5 at the end?
Yeah.
Oh, I took like 3 in the last
For some
round.
reason, I thought I was going to get first player at the end, and then I got 5, and I was like,
first place.
I don't know what happened. My mind didn't compute that right, because I never would have bid 5 if I had thought it was going to put me in last, and it did. And I was like, I don't know what I was thinking there, but it wasn't right.
Yeah.
The thought process did not work.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was your...
It is 8th for me. I really like the game. You do get to do a lot of what you do. Like I pretty much filled in my theater and clothed everybody that needed to be clothed, although I didn't get nearly as many of the actors as others. But still, and I was able to pay for everyone as well and complete some endgame scoring cards also, and get to the end of like 2 of the scoring tracks. So I'm like, you do pretty much get to do everything you want to do, and that was in the first game for us as well that we were able to. So with more plays, could get samey, I guess, but I did really enjoy it.
Well, I put it at my number 3 out of 14, so I'd echo everything you guys have said. I do wonder, though, about, like, replayability with it just over time. I feel like Euro games just sometimes just don't have the engine to keep going, like, and be replayable, and I feel like this one could easily fall into that trap, because all you're doing is moving tokens up on a tracker, really, is the main object of the game, and there are, you know, peripheral things you can do to get points and whatever, but really it's those tracks that you're moving up on. So I think it's really good. It's unique. I love the way that the tile play, or the little cylinder placement works for your bidded actions and the taking things and whatever, but I think it's kind of like in my mind a little bit like Orleans, where it's just like you're just constantly doing the same projected things in order to get a prescribed outcome. So I really, really enjoyed it, though. It was really fun. It was really fun.
Yeah, I'd agree.
The puzzle of it was fun.
Yeah. When I saw that this was my 6 out of 12, I was a little sad, because I was like, I did really like the play of it. I liked the things going on. I think that's where I was worried, just replayability-wise, if it always felt like you got to do pretty much everything you wanted. I think that's the hard part when replayability in Euro games. If it doesn't ever feel like, oh, I want to do more, I need to do more, then I think you kind of might lose repeat plays.
Yeah.
But.
And I did wonder, because I was like, well, should I tell Zach to get this one for our collection? And I'm like, I'm still on the fence about it, because I'm like, I think it would be fun to take off. It's not like we don't typically play games over and over and over again just because of the amount of in our collection, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, maybe. So
it's a cool theme too.
It is. Represent thespians. Okay, the next one we played was Cat in the Box.
This was one that we got taught. Of course, it probably would have been the easiest one to learn.
Shout out to Tim for teaching us.
Yes. This one, it was mostly just I'd asked him, does it play well at 3 players? Because I wasn't sure if it if it needed kind of sometimes trick-taking games, I think, do a little better at their max player counts probably. So I wasn't sure how this one played that, and he must have just thought that I wanted him to teach it. Because he said, yep, it plays great at 3, and I'll even teach you or whatever. So he taught us how to play it. Very aggressively taught us. But he was just making sure we were playing it right.
He was just thorough.
And I really had a great time with it. I ranked this one 4 out of 12. I've grown to really like trick-taking games, and I'm just surprised at how well something like this can work. Just because it's so weird and unique, where you get to any card in your hand can be any of the 4 colors. It just doesn't seem like it can work, but it does. And the only thing that kind of knocks it down a little bit for me is the bidding for how many tricks you want to win. I just don't think that's as fun as it could be, just because at some point if you bid 3 and then you get your 4th trick, at that point you just want to keep winning all the tricks then, typically. Just because, well, you can't score that way anyway, so I might as well try to win as many tricks as possible to get more points. So the actual scoring part of it isn't as fun, I think, as the game itself, maybe. But I do really enjoy what the game is and how it works. My goal in the game was to always just never cause a paradox. Never have.
And you never did.
I never did.
By luck.
Yes. I think 1, maybe 2 of the times, because we ended up playing this one multiple times.
Yeah.
Just because it was very short. I think 1... I know 1 for sure. There might have been 2 times where I would have caused it that round if someone else hadn't caused it right before me. So I got lucky in my seating order.
Well, I ranked this one at number 5. So just compared to the other games, it's much quicker than the other games we played. So I think that alone gives it some merit. I also enjoy trick-taking games. I think it shifts your way of thinking in a trick-taking game from like traditional ones, and so for me that's still a challenge, I think, with this game, to think about it in that way. Like, you can claim anything you want. Well, not anything, but anything that's available. But how does that serve your trick? And so just having those endless possibilities instead of like, well, I have a queen of diamond, so I know, the outcome, the possible outcomes here. But that variability is just way different, than anything that I could have thought of, and the way the trump works and whatever. It's super unique. Whoever thought this up, like, your brain is crazy. So I love you, but it's crazy. So yeah, I thought it was fun. It's unique. I kind of like want it to be like 0 tricks taken, but I feel like that's almost too easy to like not take a single trick sometimes, but I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not as big a fan of trick-taking games as you guys. I'm not a huge fan of Fox in the Forest or The Crew.
And you're wrong.
Yeah.
The Fox in the Forest is an amazing game. I think it's
a good game. I like it, but
I can't remember if that's one
literally
Tom Vassell
never
hasn't played, and I just fell out of my chair. Maybe it's some other game possibly. I don't remember if it was him or someone else. But I was like, wow, you haven't played that game? It's great.
I've never seen
Stand back,
Fox
The Crew.
You never seen me play it?
Mm-mm.
Interesting. Well, it is a 2-player game.
Yeah.
But this is my number 1 of all the games we played.
Ooh.
And I don't know, just something about it. Kind of the freedom of this card can be any color you want. And it doesn't have... So it's thinky of trying to wrap your head around when you could possibly kill a color or go for the trump, the red, as well, and how many you want to win and can win. And also trying to get kind of a little area control or whatever, connect your spots on the board. So it is thinky. It is hard to wrap the head around sometimes, but it doesn't have like special abilities for the cards like Fox in the Forest, where that just adds a little too much to where I can't really think too far ahead, because so many things could change, like the trump suit or something like that in that game. So I just felt it was a little more stable and easy to think ahead in this game, and I just really love the way it works, just with the colorless cards. I don't know, there's something about it. And got taught by Tim, and he was great. So that probably bumps it up a little bit.
That is true.
There's another game that might be bumped up a little bit by a celebrity interaction.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I suppose I didn't think about it. I suppose you could, if you took a lot of tricks and then caused a paradox, that could be a bad thing.
Yeah.
But
Which
like
is
I
what
said,
happened to
I had
Jesse.
never caused a paradox, so I didn't really
Yeah.
think of it like. I've always thought of it like, well, why wouldn't you just keep taking tricks? You're gonna probably get more points than you're gonna get by your little combination area control anyway. But yeah, I suppose if you took a lot of tricks and caused a paradox, that's bad. Like you do.
Every time.
All right, so then we're going to jump into a couple of games that were chosen by Jesse. In case you haven't noticed, there's been a little bit of a theme here where Jesse chooses games or Zach chooses games and Mac chooses none. So the next one up is Dice Throne.
Oh boy. This one is I chose it. Was looking forward to it mostly because they have a Marvel set out now. And I was like, dice. I always loved the look of the cover of it. So we played it, and this is actually my number 11. So this is actually last place of all of them. And I still did enjoy it, but it didn't really feel as smooth. And I think it's probably not the best at 3 players. Because to target someone, you pretty much roll a die, and that decides who you're targeting, which I guess can prevent from 2 people teaming up against 1.
Right.
But still, it just feels kind of weird. And it is a lot of luck in the game with the rolling of the dice. But I do like the ability to upgrade your actions for the different kind of Yahtzee sets you can roll. Did enjoy it, but just a little underwhelming.
I put this at 13 out of 14 for me. So it's not my vibe for games. I'm not really into the combat situation, whatever that hit the die thing is. Just not for me.
Mm-hmm. I had it 11 out of 12. So I've really been loving Unmatched, and that's kind of one of those battler games. So
I'd rather play
it
that.
really would have had to be pretty good, I think, to really even compete with that. And like you said, it might be that we played it 3-player, so kind of
My
changes
fault.
some things. But because that was one that I'd been looking forward to playing quite a bit too. But yeah, then the actual play of it just wasn't quite as enjoyable as I thought, and I'm like, it's just one play, so could change if I played it more. But I was like, I think I'd rather play like King of Tokyo or something if I'm playing a Yahtzee style game.
That's immediately what I thought of, was just like, this feels like King of Tokyo, and I'd rather play that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, I would be willing to give this one another try, but
At 2 players? At 2 players?
probably
1v1.
But then I don't know. Before I was looking to possibly getting it, but at the moment I don't think I would unless I played it again and really had a good experience with it. Because I think they recently did a Kickstarter for Santa versus Krampus or something, and it was like supposed to be delivering by the holidays. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Maybe that'd be the time to get a set. But then now I think I'm probably happy that I didn't. But
Alright, well, off of that brilliant success of a game, we
I think it's still a good game. And I could see people liking it, but I don't know that it was for us.
Yeah, that was just sarcasm.
Okay.
So after that brilliant success of a game for us, Jesse chose another game, and he went with Subterra. He went with Subterra.
Yes. One of Z Garcia's favorite games of all time. Trey Parker of South Park fame, his number 2 of all time. So I was very interested in this. Another cooperative game, which Mac was totally up for. And it's kind of a tile placement, exploring, trying to escape this cave, this underground cave. And I have this number 5. Took a while to get the rules. We forgot a couple requirements
Which made it very easy in the beginning.
to navigate some of the tiles. We just, like for laying rope, we just put it down. Forgot that we have to actually make a check to see if we can actually place that. So we still ended up losing, even with that help. But yeah, I really enjoyed. Okay, one
Zach.
person.
I didn't win many games, so you let them know who made it out.
One coward abandoned the group.
He did, and he's like, "Oh, just go
and
with
got out
them."
alive.
I told them.
It's like, you guys were
I
out
was-
there, and the dang monsters chased us away, and you got to the exit,
Well, I was just hoping
and all of us died.
that like a lake would appear, and then I could go down and come up near you guys, and we'd win it. Cause
Are
I
we
figured
sure one didn't appear and you just ignored
He was
it?
drawing an awful lot of tiles.
I was, but
know.
none of them were any of those maybe cool or whatever tiles.
Yeah.
A little bit unlucky.
All
Any
right.
more?
Any more?
Yeah, just really enjoyed it. Kind of that exploring.
Well, I ranked it number 9 out of 14. So
That's not bad.
for a cooperative game, I think it was okay, but I just really wasn't super impressed with it overall. It was kind of just like, just keep moving your person forward. Like, just keep moving, because you got to get the tile out. And so, like, the hazards you just are going to have to deal with when they come, and then just stay away from the, what were they called? The beasts?
what were they
or
called?
the horde, or...
The horrors.
Yeah, the horrors.
The Horus.
That's what it was. And I was just like, I just was like running around trying to get out. And that was really it. Like on my turn, it'd be like one thing. And then it'd be somebody else's turn. So I was just kind of like, meh. And it's like, how do you expect 5 people to go off in different directions with the tiles? Because everybody has to make it to one exit tile. So I'm like, I don't even know how that would work in like a bigger group, because unless everyone's just building out on the tiles.
Does it play 5 players?
I think so. I think at least 4.
Yeah.
Might be 5, yeah.
but I was like, I don't even know how that, because at first you started building one way and then somebody else built the other way, and I was like, are we supposed to be building 2 tiles?
But if you get to a dead end,
yeah,
then you don't have to backtrack.
I guess that's true.
But yeah, it is interesting to try to balance that. Not get too split up. 'Cause in the movies, you know, that's when bad stuff happens. You get split up.
That is when bad stuff happens.
But yeah.
So I thought it was probably a better cooperative game than Paleo for just kind of the things you could do. But yeah, I don't know.
I had this number 3 out of 11.
Ooh.
I
Wow.
really liked it.
That's because he won.
I really liked both the cooperative games, this one and Paleo. They were some of my favorite ones that we played there, which is surprising because I was not very big into co-op games until like this last year, and now these were both. I really loved them. I think some of the tiles were a little bit too dark. I think.
Yeah.
I think they
Kinda
could have been a little brighter.
Where the routes are
Yes.
on the tiles, especially
That part.
for like some of the horror dens and kind of where they actually connect to can be hard to tell.
Yeah, I think that part was one of the pieces that if they could brighten it up, and I thought you said they did brighten it
They
up.
did brighten it up.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was for that version. I assume it must be. That must be the most recent version. But so I think they used to either be darker or else they're brighter than that. No.
But
Yeah, they were really dark.
and you said there was you can play in the dark or something with like a whatever light.
Glow in the dark. There was a
So
little black light in the.
That had me a little interested in playing it that way, but I don't.
Which the Dice Tower has been teasing doing. They've talked about possibly doing a playthrough glow in the dark, with little headlamps, and I'm like, oh,
That'd be
we
pretty
need
cool.
that.
That might be good.
But yeah, that got me possibly excited to do something like that, and it did feel like it felt like a pandemic, only like slightly, or kind of you're doing a different thing, though.
Kind of just like the limited amount of actions, just a few different ways to do things.
Yeah.
But no, I really enjoyed my experience of Terra.
Good.
And I didn't know if I would or not.
Good to know.
Good.
Glad. I am glad.
Alrighty. Well, so then we move on to 2 games that Jesse did not play because he was busy playing with a certain podfather.
Of gaming.
So
In
Zach-
Terraforming Mars.
So us chumps got left behind and had to play something. So the first one that me and you played was Unforgiven, the Lincoln Assassination Trial, which Zach was like, "You want to try this one?" And I was like, "What is this?" Like the name, the box it came in, I was like, I don't know who you are, but I don't think my husband would choose to play a game called this in a weird box. Like, it's just not the typical board game stuff you see.
I don't know. You usually like history, and I'm pretty sure that the Dice Tower had talked about this once and really liked it. I don't remember if it was Tom or something. And I was like, maybe it's a good one.
Yeah, so you chose it, or whatever.
And it was 2-player only.
Yeah, it was 2-player only, so we tried it. And you're right, I am into history, so I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, we'll try it. And I love this one. It was my number 1. It took us a long time to get started because we had some extra cards and stuff, and it's not until the back of the book that you realize why, and we just couldn't get it
And of
figured
course,
out.
the one types of cards that I was getting, apparently, you're supposed to, once we were about halfway through again, those are actually good cards.
Once again,
So I was looking, I'm like,
we played some rules wrong.
I don't know what these are even for.
We played some rules wrong. We did. I did.
That was the kind of the story of the whole
Yeah.
thing.
It's kind of bad. It was a mess overall, but I will say I enjoyed the card taking. It's just like Seven Wonders Duel, where you're taking
Card
cards
drafting.
and the drafting piece, and then with those they come with like icons, and then you can sway the trial one way or the jurors, I guess, one way or the other, or you can straight up win by moving the judgment track, I think. So I just thought it was really fun. It's probably a lot like Seven Wonders Duel, so I'm like, I don't know if we honestly would bring this into the collection, even though I had a lot of fun with it, but I just thought it was just fun and different than games we had been playing, so I don't know, it was just fun, unique.
I had this one 7 out of 12. I liked it quite a bit too, but yeah, it made me think, do we need Seven Wonders Duel and this one? Because they were pretty
Probably not.
similar. And this one just felt like it had just a couple things that were a little more difficult to do than Seven Wonders Duel, like the dice part of it.
Yeah.
And we may not have been.
The rules weren't super clear for that dice thing, so.
Well, I might have to go back and read the rules. I'm sure it was clear, or wasn't clear. We just might have missed something, I don't know. But no, I think we did not spend, because you could spend, what are those tokens called? I don't remember what they were, but I don't think we spent those to get dice probably the way we should have.
Yeah.
So we never really got those extra symbols.
Because they were like, oh, you should have like 8 dice to turn in. I was like, nope. Got 3.
Although you did end up getting some more. You got quite a few dice.
I did.
So, yeah, I liked it quite a bit too. But yeah, I was thinking, I'm like, do we need both of them? I don't know. I probably like Seven Wonders Duel a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it was a solid game. And yeah, if you really love Seven Wonders Duel, but you want something slightly different, I would definitely look into this one. I don't think I hear people talk about it very often. So it could be one to look at and see if that's one for you.
Yeah. So the next one we played was, well, you gave me the option of it, and I was like, yeah, let's do it, because it has one of my favorite literary characters, and that's Sherlock Holmes. So the game was called Holmes versus Mycroft. Right?
Was it? Or was it Holmes, Sherlock versus Mycroft?
Sure.
Whichever it was. It was a Holmes game.
I just wrote Holmes versus Mycroft.
Okay, maybe that's what it was.
But like I said, I'm doing abbreviated titles on my notes. So
that's true.
Yeah. So that one is
H&M.
Yeah, H&M. So that was fun. It was different, I guess. I don't like, you have a thing of cards in front of you, and you have little either Sherlock or Mycroft meeples, and you're using cards that have been displayed to try and get sets of clues to try and win at the end if they're worth victory points. So I thought that was unique. There's a little bit of like, I can take your card and you can take my card kind of a thing that has it going on. We did play like the upgraded meeples, so I think those are like absolutely needed if you're gonna play it, but it was kind of a simpler, quicker game that we played, and I really enjoyed it. It's my I probably should rank it, huh? It's my number 4 out of 14. So.
I had an 8 out of 12. I liked it too. I was wondering this one too, replayability wise. I think it would still be good because each round it's kind of like an Agricola thing where more cards are a card is being flipped over each round to give you an additional action to do, and you've kind of got 3 main actions that you can always take, and then the other cards are you start with 2, so 5 total actions to start with, and if both people go on an action, then the next round that action is unavailable to anyone, so the card's flipped over and then gets flipped back for the following round after that, which I find really cool, where it's like, oh, if it's a really powerful action and people take it, well, we're not going to give you access to that one again. So that I thought that part was really cool, and then just kind of the moving the meeples out of the way, because you'd lay them down once you took an action on them, but you couldn't go on a space that already had a meeple on yours, so you couldn't, if from the previous round your meeples just stay where they are but are like stood up, you can't immediately go to an action that one of your meeples is on, so you kind of have to move that one to go somewhere else first.
Clear him off.
And then you can go into that action again, potentially, if it wasn't flipped over or something. So I found that really cool. I think it actually did work. I wasn't sure if it was going to. I don't know if there was too much there that made you feel really clever with your decisions. Maybe a couple times. Which maybe that's what it should be, because yeah, like you said, it's not that long of a game, and it's just pretty much set collection. Whoever gets the largest set gets the value of those, and that's how many cards are in there of that type. So like the 9s, you get 9 points if you got the most, but then you take away the amount the other person had. So if they had 2 9s, you'd get 7 points, and kind of all through the numbers. If you had all of one, then you'd get a bonus 6 points or something, bonus whatever.
Yeah.
Which was cool as well, because that would, like you said, you can kind of steal some, so that kind of makes it interesting. Of, oh, should I steal one of those from them, or try to tie that up, or so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was neat.
Mhm.
So
That's
then,
another one I don't hear people talk about, but I think it was rated a little bit lower.
Yeah.
I think that was in the 6s, so I could see that one not being as popular, but I think it is worth trying out.
Well, the next one was one that you didn't play, but me and Jesse played, and it's kind of along the similar themes of Sherlock, and that is Caper.
Mm-hmm.
So you picked this one,
Yes.
and I love the look of this game. It was really like, ooh, it's looking good.
Very
so,
unique
I'm
kind of
disappointed.
artwork.
why?
That was one I wanted to play.
It was? Aw, I'm sorry.
I had that written down on my list.
You didn't share the list
You
with anybody.
never showed us a list, or
I had all these
mentioned
two-player
having a
games.
list. Interesting.
Yeah. So
Maybe
we
next time.
played Caper. We played Caper. Let's see. I put Caper at number 6 out of 14.
I also put it number 6.
Hey, look at that.
Out of 11.
Crossover. Okay. Yeah, so I thought this was pretty unique.
Yeah,
I don't even know how to describe this game, honestly.
It's kind of weird. You're kind of going.
It's like tableau building. I don't know.
Yeah, you have like 3 locations,
Yeah.
and you're trying to gain influence little symbols
Yeah.
at each of them by playing cards on your side of them.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever has the most wins the scoring bonus for that location,
Mm-hmm.
which usually corresponds to the types of cards you have played at that location.
Yes.
So it's interesting.
Yeah.
It feels different from other games,
Mm-hmm.
pretty much any other game, just kind of trying to win it, but then trying also to set up your scoring for that location.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and I didn't quite understand the scoring rules on this, so I think that more than anything hurt me. Like, I was still within like 6 points, but so good luck there. But yeah, it was just, you have like different, I guess, are they capers? Are there like different people that you lay out, and then you can give them, what were they called?
items or
Yeah.
something, I forget.
Gadgets or
Exactly,
something
yeah.
like that, where you could give them gear up to
gear,
3
yep.
things, and that would intensify your score or something. So essentially you're supposed to be some kind of like thief, and you're both trying to go after whatever that specific location has for a reward. And so kind of like very like Ocean's 11,
Yeah,
like 12 or whatever, whichever one they go
Yeah, I
against
really
that.
like that theme and kind
Yeah.
of the artwork that brings it all together.
Yeah, it was really good artwork. I wasn't like, I don't think I was a huge fan of it. I probably wouldn't say we need it in our collection, just because it is probably not a 2-player game I'm going to ask to play, but it is unique enough, I think, to where it might be good to have.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I would definitely consider bringing it into the collection. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and like we said, for the production and metal coins, I don't know if those are in every version of the game. It's a smaller game, so I think that's probably just the retail version. So great production and variability for, we use like 3 of like 20 possible locations.
Yeah.
So I'm interested in kind of the different scoring and different thieves and gear that could possibly change up the game.
yeah. Suppose we're both. All right.
So I guess you wouldn't get, if you had to get one of the 2-player only games, which one would you get?
I'd probably get Mycroft and Holmes. Or Holmes and Mycroft, whatever. Sherlock
that
Holmes.
was your, and that was your, which rated one?
That was number 4.
Oh, okay, so it was your second.
Yeah. So Unforgiven, but just because we already have 7 Wonders Duel.
Mm-hmm.
But so I think it would go to Holmes and Mycroft. Just beat it out. Alright, so the next all 3 of us played these next ones. And we played Azul Queen's Garden.
Azul 4. I've got this one rated 10 out of 12.
14 out of 14.
Wow.
Actually have this 7th.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this one started off badly with the rules.
We
It
were,
just seemed-
we were breaking into laughter just because the other Azul games kind of follow the same
Yeah.
pattern, easy to grasp one if you know the other. This one was not that. As you're going through,
I think it ended
yeah,
up
it
being
ended
that.
up being better, but reading the rules
Made it,
sounded rough.
yes, made it sound much more complicated than I think what it ended up being, but
Yeah.
it still was one of the more thinky ones than the other ones, I think.
Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, so right away I was like, okay, we don't have to play this because we had gotten like a little $5 chip towards a game, and we were thinking of getting Summer Pavilion, which we already talked about from that place, Shiba Games. But the fourth Azul was also there, so this is kind of another one that I suggested to play, and I was like, we should play the fourth one and see which of those two we prefer. And so I pushed pretty hard for that, and then of course the rules learning was a disaster again, and I'm like, let's just play a different game. Sorry to put you guys through this, but once it did get going and you kind of get a grasp of what's going on, I did enjoy it quite a bit, and it just felt kind of satisfying getting a high scoring tile out there. And I think this one's different from other ones where it's just a color. These ones actually have value to them, the tiles. So there's like a 5 tile, a 4 tile.
1 through 6.
Yep, 1 through 6. And I found that satisfying when you actually got that out there, knowing you're going to score big points for that later on. So, something a little different. Obviously not don't love it as much as Summer Pavilion, but I think it's different enough that if it was just another Azul game, I think that would probably actually have hurt it more than being possibly a little too complex.
I didn't really like it. I mean, probably part of it is just because the rules were just difficult. It was hard to grasp what you were supposed to be doing with these tiles, and then there's cardboard tiles, and it's like, what is happening, and why are we stacking them, and you can only hold so many of them, and then there's joker pieces, and in the end, I just wasn't a fan of the scoring, the laying of the tiles. Like, I can see how it makes sense after playing it, but I was like, it's just not something I'm going to want to puzzle out, because
He's really pushing it away.
eventually, I'm sorry. Eventually, if you
I'm like, wow, she really hates it.
Eventually, if you get too many tiles, like, somehow it all is going to connect and you're going to be in some hot water. And so I was just like, nah. So,
Yeah.
I'm much happier with Summer Pavilion.
This one, I think the drafting part of it, which is what typically makes Azul so good, because it's just a quick, snappy drafting most of the time. This one, the drafting slows down, I think, quite a bit. Because it almost, to me at least, it always seemed like people took the ones I wanted, and then it was like, well, do I take that stuff and possibly uncover other things for these other people, even though I don't really overly need those tiles with what I'm trying to do? Or do I place this now, or place something out there, or not? I don't know if we ever paid 6 points to put one of those extra tiles. I don't know how that would have worked.
You did once, I think.
No.
No? I thought you did.
I didn't end up. I was talking about it, but I didn't end up doing it.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe that would have changed things. But then too, I was like, I don't know. It's too easy, I think, for me to forget that. Oh shoot! If I put this and this here, then only one specific tile can go in that spot. And then, if I've got this here, well, this can't actually be next to this anymore. So, kind of trap myself into places. So I think that's just a mistake of playing it for the first time. But then it kind of was like, well, I can play this one, and really then all that does is stops me from getting negative points at the end for all my stuff, but really it doesn't actually get me any points on the board, so that doesn't really feel as satisfying, even though I may have paid 4 or 5 tiles for it.
Yeah.
You need groups of at least 3 to get it to score.
Yeah.
So that didn't quite feel as satisfying as other Azuls, but I think I still liked it. It's probably I've played all 4 of them now, but the first one I've only played on Board Game Arena. This one's probably my least favorite out of the 4, even though it is the thinkiest. So I would think, based on that alone, I would think that I would like this one the most. But for what Azul is, it doesn't feel quite right.
Yeah, this kind of just brings in like a whole Quirkle type mechanism of, all same color with different symbols, or same symbol, different color. And it is very limiting of where you can place, but I like that, and I do like the different way of drafting as well.
I think I just prefer the summer pavilion where it's like you specifically have to put this color in here. So it takes away a lot of that, like, if I put this here, then how am I going to,
And I wonder, because the back of those boards are actually, we didn't play with that.
they're not colored.
Do you get to just pick where they go?
I'm not sure.
We didn't actually read the rules for that one, so I'm interested to see how that would work. Okay, I was like, I am not. We are never playing with that side.
I'm just saying somebody else read the rules because I'm done being vilified for it. All right, next up, we actually did play a game that I wanted.
Like I've said, you're the reader in the group, and you read quickly.
Yeah.
I think it's just easy for you to skip over things sometimes, just because you're like, okay, I got the gist of what it's saying here.
Right.
And it's just, it's usually like the small details.
And when I reread that rule, I was still like, and then I was like, okay.
And sometimes just in general rule books, it might not be.
It was in bold.
Because it always.
Okay. But it was like you score a point for this, and then it said and blah 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 adjacent to it, and so I was like, but I didn't take that to read everything in a row. But I think there was like just a tiny, like there's like 3 words that would have signified that, and I didn't capture that. So.
Okay, so I won't blame the rule book then. I was trying to bail you out there.
Thanks a lot. All right, so
it happens. I think, I was forcing us to try to get as many done as possible. So we were always kind of rushing the rules, which probably didn't end up being a good thing.
Well, and the problem is I feel like I need to read the rules. Like, I cannot have someone read them to me because I just will not grasp it. Like, I have to read them. And so, but then I mess up the rules, and it's like, well, what's worse? So then Zach read the rules for Fantasy Realm and Queen's Garden and all the rest of them. So the next one we played was actually one I wanted to play. I had totally forgot about it, but I like the game Red Rising, and so it's partly based, there's some influence from Fantasy Realms, and so I was like, oh, let's play that if they have it, because I'm like, I just want to see what that looks like, and so we played Fantasy Realms next.
And I don't know if you guys noticed, but I haven't said my 12 or my 1 yet. And there's 2 games left.
I think I know how this is going to go.
So Fantasy Realms was the 12 for me. But I don't think it's fair we only played 1 game of it.
Yeah.
And you were not wanting to play another game of it after the first one. So this is kind of just 12 just because I didn't really get a good feel for it 100% and how hard it would.
Well, you wanted to play other games too, so.
I did, but I did say, oh, do you want to play another round? Because I wanted to actually feel like I gave it a whole chance, because this game is really quick. Especially when you're comparing it to Red Rising. You could probably play this game
4 times? 5 times?
5, I was thinking 5, maybe 6 times. Depending on if you extended the game, like when we played it in that board game tournament. At least the 1 game of it.
Wow. It
probably could have been 8 games of Fantasy Realms, especially once you know how to play it.
Just hate it.
I don't hate it. I actually, because of it, that's probably another reason why it's down so low. Just because this one, I don't feel it didn't feel like I had a chance to really change my hand. But at the same time, I wasn't actually trying to change my hand because I got 1 good card and my hand just pretty much lined up with that. So I was looking for like 1 card. But it never did come out, but at the same time I wasn't really trying to change my hand too much because most of them worked decent enough, and I didn't know what a good score was, so I was like, well, it seems like this should be good. You guys had different hands, so maybe you felt differently, but I was just like, I feel like if I didn't have a good hand, though, that would not have been enough time to change much at all, whereas like in Red Rising you do have time.
Yeah,
and sometimes there's a bit too much time in that one. So I need the in-between.
There's no getting through that deck in Fantasy Realms either. Right. You've got to discard 10 of them. So, I don't know, I liked it. Okay, I can see where Red Rising got some of the inspiration from, but and it wasn't even because I scored badly, like, because I thought, like, I was going to score well, and I was like, it's okay. It's probably more so just because I had no idea what types of cards were in the deck. Like, I think it's definitely a game that improves upon further plays, because then you know,
Well, Red Rising did for you, so.
yeah, what those are. And so, but at the end of the day, I was just like, I was like, no, I don't think it usurps Red Rising in my life. Like, I don't think I need it, Red Rising, to be quicker or to not have some of these things. So I understand where it's coming from, and I think it's a simpler version of that. So it was fine. It was my number 8, I think.
It's my number 10, so second to last. I did start off with a card that's like bonus 100 points if with this, and this. And I'm like, okay, I have one of those, and I was able to get a second one. But like you said, you can't go through that deck, really.
I either had to do armies or weather, and neither one of them were coming up, and I was like,
And it's like, I can't just give up on this, because if it does show up, like, that's the game.
Yeah.
If you get that.
Right.
So then it's just a weird position of, well, I had to keep this card in my hand, so I can't possibly get rid of it, because that card could come up, and that would be, like, yeah, game winning, but the game just goes by so quickly.
Yeah.
Not a fan of how it ends. It's like 10 cards in the discard, which happens when you draw from the deck. So the more you search, the less time you have, which, as a concept, I like, but I just feel like 10 cards is just too few for that. But then at the same time, you don't want it to be too easy to get all those scoring.
Right.
But yeah, it's just, I feel like it could have been handled a little better, but I do still kind of really love that trying to get a great hand, just like in Red Rising.
Yeah.
Doesn't come close to meeting Red Rising for me, though.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's second to last, but I do enjoy that.
Alright, so the last game we played, she was a doozy. Took us most of the night. Set it up. And understand the rule book. And that was Wonderland's War. And this is a game you wanted to play. Yep. So.
The first game I wanted to play. I think I was the one that said Merchant's Cove, but and Shakespeare.
Yep.
But yes, it was my number 1. It was a long game, so I'm not. I think just the experience I had was number 1, and most of that had to do with Tom Vassell coming by after we had been reading the rules and stuff and setting up for probably 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah, we
finally got going.
We had the teacher wanted sign up that whole time.
We had so many people walk by and be like, I'd love to help you, but I don't even know what this is.
Right.
And we're like, I don't know either.
Right. And then, of course, Tom comes by, oh, do you still need this? And do you still need to be taught?
We're like 1 round in.
Right. So we did use his help for one question, but I was like, probably would have really been helpful to have a teacher on this one, because it was a heck of a learn. And then, it ended up being a very long game, too. So, I don't know.
I don't think it's that hard, though, once you figure it out. You just
I
have
think
to figure
it's
it out.
got a lot of simple things in it, and I found them pretty fun. It's got a Quacks of Quedlinburg piece to it, and then you're kind of, some of those chips you're foraging onto your board to kind of get additional abilities or bonuses, which I found really cool. Because then, and being involved, so kind of, there's 2 phases of the game where you're adding troops kind of to the board.
The tea party.
The tea party, adding troops and getting other things and ways to score points and stuff. Doing those various things, you'll do like 4 of those, and then the second phase is a blood rage battle in the different zones, which I liked quite a bit, even when we didn't battle. And that was the one thing we asked Tom about: is does the person just win and still get all the rewards? And then he said, you should never let people have it all to themselves. You should force the battle at
And
least.
then I hid behind the rule book, and I was like, oh my gosh, he thinks we're dumb.
I felt fantastic because I was the one with all the control.
That's true.
So I'm like, that's right.
But so I found the battle piece really fun, and you're adding your kind of character in there kind of throughout the game. There's a chance to get like some special characters that do cool abilities. I think you got a couple of those, and they seemed like they were pretty cool. I did get one at the end. It did not end up working for me like I wanted it to because of how badly I did in the 2 battles. It was like if you were playing Quacks and you just drew the white cherry bombs or whatever constantly. That's what it felt like. kind of the bad ones in this game, but I had taken a lot of those because I had so many of those bad shards, which I got the extra one every single round. So that was bad on my part. But I would look forward to playing this one some more.
Yeah, for sure. I have this as my number 2. And I think it is bumped up a little bit with some tie breaks just from Tom showing up there and
Wow.
making some comments. I can't deny it.
Right, that's
That's
help
pretty
it.
fun, pretty awesome. But yeah, I did enjoy it
Fangirls.
I will say it is a long game, and if you
It
can
is.
get someone to teach you
Yeah.
it,
for sure.
that would be the way that I would learn this one.
For sure.
Probably
but yeah,
all these games.
It's not hard. It just took
Right.
a long time.
Yeah. Love the Axel Quedlinburg bag building. This one, I probably don't like the aspect as much as I do as in Quacks and Quedlinburg, but I do like it more than something like Orleans, where that doesn't interest me very much, the bag building aspect. This one, it does really feel like you do change the bag and build it to what you want. I love kind of the jumping around. The rondel, if we played it correctly, isn't that interesting, because you can go as far as you want, and there's really no negative to it other than having to roll that die. It's not like the person in last gets to go as much as they want. Yeah, it turned out pretty negative for you.
I kept hitting the 3s, so really you guys didn't have to worry about rolling that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even when you guys did seem to roll, it never was too bad
I
for you
only
got one
rolled
or
the
two.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my special power is if you roll more than one, you get to give one away. And I was like, never got to use it.
What? That was your special power? I thought your special power was being able to convert a person in a battle.
That was an
person.
upgraded, actually.
Oh, wow. Now mine doesn't seem good at all. We forgot to do mine half the time. Well, I did.
Yeah.
I don't think I
That's
don't
your
think I ever used mine.
responsibility.
I was supposed to put these poison tokens out. No one ever ended up taking them.
Well,
Why
I
would we
figured
take
he was
that?
putting them out there because they're ones he wanted.
I'm like, why would we take that
So I was
poison?
like, well,
But yeah, I love the battling. It's always fun, and kind of the end of game or the kind of scoring objectives as well. I focused a lot on that. I got like 5 of them done, and some of them kind of make you have to take a dive in a battle and kind of throw it or settle at a certain number, which usually I wouldn't like. But in this case, you do, if you get second place, you do still get half of the points that would be awarded, which just really makes that work. And I really like that. It's also, they're pretty achievable objectives, and it's not like win a battle doing this, win a battle doing that, where it's like, oh, jeez.
Right.
That really depends on what I draw from the bag
And
or
what other
what
people
they
do.
want. But this just felt like within reach.
it was my number 10 out of 14.
Thinking if this is like top half for her, this could be joining the collection.
No. I don't think so.
She's going to be disappointed when that second edition comes to town.
It's fine, but I'm just not a girl who's big into, like, combat games. I mean,
Do you like the theme?
You were dominating all the combats.
I don't know how.
Yes.
But I thought the theme was neat. I'm not actually a big Alice in Wonderland person, so
She was really loving this game until Pepper scored all of his endgame cards.
That was it.
no.
Pepper, you
Yeah.
should have just thrown those on the
40
ground.
points
I
and
didn't
endgame
get my
cards.
objective, and I knew that was probably not going to be good because I think you had taken a bunch of them. So
Yeah.
I was like, So I just tried to optimize what I already had and what I knew was going to be scoring, and that turned into castles at the end there. And so, because I think I got like 6 points per castle, and I only just didn't get one out, maybe. So, yeah, I don't know. I thought it was fine. I don't know. I'm not in love with it. It had some unique things. The bag building I thought was interesting, but not necessarily. I don't know.
Yeah. It's kind of sad because, like, initially after we played, it's like, okay, that was a lot of fun, but it's a huge game and a long game, so probably won't add it to the collection. But then as we were talking about it here, I was like, I kind of do want this in the collection now.
That's what I was thinking too. Like as I was looking
Maybe-
through these, I was like,
I do really
you know,
like
I
it.
liked a lot of these games, but I don't know that I'd add it. Obviously, we added Azul 3,
Yeah.
but I was like, I don't know if I'd add any of these to the collection. There weren't any that were just like, oh wow, that was an awesome, amazing game. But yeah, as I was thinking more about which one I wanted to be my top one after one play, so obviously these could change with more plays. You know, if I played Wonderland's War and it was always taking 3-4 hours and it wasn't really changing from play to play, it obviously could drop. But yeah, just the experience and how it felt different than other games is what made it feel special. And I was thinking it'd probably be the only other one that I would pick to add to the collection. Maybe Cat in the Box, just because it's a quicker one.
And small.
I'd add like half of the list, possibly much more. Cat in the Box, Wonderland's War, obviously we added Azul, Merchant's Cove, I was very interested in that. Terra may already be coming into the collection. Caper I liked a lot. Shakespeare, obviously, and even Paleo, once you get that setup figured out.
Right.
That one as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of games that I was like, I'd like to explore more.
This is the problem. Add it to the collection, but then it never gets played.
Wow.
I'm just saying.
But yeah, those were the 14 for you games that we got played from the Dice Tower West Library. It was a lot of gaming, but a lot of rule reading as well.
It was.
I think it would have been nice if there would have been a couple that could have been taught to us, I think, because that was part of the, I think probably the more tiring part was reading some of the rules, because not too many of these seem to only have like a very short rule book, so it was a lot of long rule books. And really, I think maybe next year if we went to another convention or something that had a library, I would probably next time plan in advance, like, okay, I want to play these 5 games. So I'm going to, look up some videos on them just so I have a better idea. We didn't really do that. So I think that's kind of what hurt it a little bit. Might have even hurt like our thoughts on some of them, because like you said, we had a few rules goofs, which kind of throws off sometimes the whole game as to, okay, well, if we had been playing it that way, would I have felt differently about how it was playing out? So, But, if you want to check out our other video on the World Series of Board Gaming, we're going to have a couple of those, so check those out. Otherwise, we hope to see you on the next one, and as always, don't forget to
keep on nibbling
on our content.